Mangwana ni malelepo fukenjani class vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa. Good morning. The news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You're joined by Ashimberi and Glenora Shipura. Today is a special day, as was yesterday, as graduates around Namibia are receiving their degrees. We certainly would like to wish them all their best and obviously congratulate them. I would also like to congratulate my sister-in-law, Lusungu Mufune, as she is also graduating. Her father was a lecturer at the University of Namibia for some decades, and I'm sure he is very, very proud.
Well, we are all definitely very proud of the graduates indeed, and thank you for that, for congratulating the Namibian graduates. Now, getting into what you can expect in today's broadcast, Mpumalanga municipality fined 200 million rand for polluting rivers. Liberia Senate approves war crimes court creation, and South Africa's Jacob Zuma wins court bid to contest upcoming election. We'll also be talking to Arrie Hougaard, who'll be telling us a little bit more what's happening in South Africa.
We start our top stories in South Africa as Mpumalanga, the NPA said it has welcomed a 200 million rand fine imposed on Mbeki municipality for contravention of environmental legislation on Tuesday. A statement from the National Prosecuting Authority explained that the Mpumalanga municipality was found guilty of 6 counts relating to contravention of the National Environment Act 107 of 1998, pollution of water resources, contravention of the National Water Act 36 of 1998, failure to comply with the compliance notice, unauthorized disposal of water, and contravention of an act that detrimentally affects water resources. During the period between November 2019 and September 2020, the municipality unlawfully committed an act which caused significant pollution to the environment, an NPA statement read.
Getting into our next story, Liberia's Senate on Tuesday backed the establishment of a war crimes court meant to bring overdue justice to victims of serious abuses committed during the West African country's 2 civil wars. President Joseph Boakai proposed the resolution, which lawmakers backed during a vote in Liberia's lower house last month. It passed a second vote in the Senate on Tuesday with the backing of 27 out of 29 senators. Boakai now needs to give his final approval. The move has been welcomed by activists and civil society groups that have called for more accountability for crimes committed during the 2 civil wars. Between 1989 and 2003, around 250,000 people were killed in conflicts that included massacres, rape, and the use of child soldiers. A Truth and Reconciliation Committee later called for a special court to be set up to bring to trial those allegedly responsible, but no concrete action was taken until Boakai was elected last year.
Now, a South African court has ruled that former President Jacob Zuma can run for office in the country's upcoming general election, overturning an earlier decision that had barred him from contesting the polls. The Electoral Court's decision yesterday paves the way for Zuma to run for president on behalf of the Umkhonto weSizwe Party, a political organization that he joined last year after denouncing the governing African National Congress Party that he once led. The Electoral Commission had earlier ruled that Zuma could not run for office due to his criminal record after it received an objection to his candidacy. The decision of the Electoral Commission is set aside, the court wrote in its ruling. South Africa is to hold a general election on May 29 in what is expected to be the most competitive vote since the advent of democracy in 1994. Zuma was sentenced to 15 months in jail in June 2021 after refusing to testify to a panel probing financial corruption and cronyism under his presidency.
Getting into our next story, the United Nations Security Council has referred the application of the observer state of Palestine for full membership to the specialized committee set up to vet new members. The Council's president made the announcement yesterday. I shall refer to the committee on the admission of new members the request that renewed consideration be given to the application of the observer state of Palestine during April 2024. As I hear no objection, it is so decided. The specialized committee shall examine any application referred to it and report its conclusion thereon to the Council. Palestine is a non-member observer state of the UN with the same status as held. Now, Palestinian President Mohammed Abbas delivered the Palestinian Authority's application to become the 194th member of the United Nations to then Secretary General Ban Ki-moon on September 23, 2011, before addressing world leaders at the General Assembly.
Now, Nigeria has recovered $24 million as part of an ongoing corruption probe into a suspended minister, the financial watchdog says. The funds were traced to more than 50 bank accounts, it said. Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation Minister Betta Edu was initially suspended in January over the alleged diversion of $640,000 of public money into a personal bank account. President Bola Tinubu then ordered an investigation into her ministry. At the time, Dr. Edu, 37, denied any wrongdoing. Her office said she had approved the transfer into a personal account, which was not in her name, but said it was for the implementation of grants to vulnerable groups. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission said during its nearly 6 weeks of investigating so far, it had found many angles to examine. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. After the break, we talk to Arrie Hougaard in South Africa.
Hallo Namibia, ons is by die kus en ons is lus.
By die Easter shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, please, today you make sure that we are fed. Sorry, it's actually.
All right, it's time for us to talk to Arrie Hougaard about the news stories in South Africa. Good morning, Arrie. How are you?
Yes, very good morning, Ashwin and everyone. Yes, nice talking to you.
Yes, it is quite chilly in Windhoek, but I have to say the weather is not as seemingly resilient as Jacob Zuma, as yet again he has prevailed in one of his schemes, and this one is to run for president.
Yes, indeed, and you talked about it earlier in the latest news there, and yes, it's confirmed that basically what happened was the Electoral Court, they dismissed the ISC's decision to remove the ballot, and you explained it in the latest news earlier, the reasons, but the biggest reason was that he only served 3 months of his 15-month sentence. The rules are that if you're convicted for more than 12 months without parole, or yes, and then you cannot stand. But anyway, but he was granted remission by the president then, and so that is his right-hand man, Advocate Dalian Mpofu on the right there. So he's been representing him in all these cases. So it was success there for him. So he'll probably be number one on that list. It doesn't mean that if he can be president again, it needs the MK party needs to win probably. That's not going to happen. But he's back in the race. And a key role in the elections coming up. They're drawing lots of support at the moment, it seems like, the MK party. Also in court briefly is, I mean, the KwaZulu-Natal court is again Advocate Dalian Mpofu that they have to represent President Zuma, and that is where it's a private prosecution of Billy Downer and Karen Bogan. That goes back to the case of 2005. People probably forgot about that, but that is the arms deal with France, and there's the former President Zuma also implicated, but they look to take that off the roll. But anyway, that's something that will happen today. Briefly, we saw there the Deputy President, Paul Mashatela, just in political speeches. That's starting to happen a bit more. He said that we will have no more load shedding by the end of the year. That's a very, very massive, big statement to make 8 months months left in the year. He said no more load shedding at the end of the year. So I don't know if that's a political statement or if that is a fact, but that's been a statement made by the Deputy President of the country, Paul Moshatili. So hopefully they can do that. But lots of intensity rising in the elections. Lots happening. The DA won a court case also that allowed voting stations in embassies and consulates abroad to be open on the 29th of May.
Well, we definitely do hope that there will be no more load shedding by the end of the year. Now, getting to your next story, the Western Cape government has proceeded with mop-up operations in Cape Town after the massive storm that hit the region.
Yeah, it was the calm after the storm yesterday. It was strange to be in Cape Town. Looks like it looks behind me. This is what the day looks today. But it was a very tough day on Sunday. We normally like to go around and out on Sundays around the beautiful Cape, but we didn't move out of the house. It was just very strong winds. Firstly, it's the southeaster that blew. It's a typical, not the rain wind, and then it changed on the Monday that it started to rain again. Up to 300 kilometers an hour in Stellenbosch at times, but the problem was also it was wind, rain and fire. So that is some of the devastation in fire in informal settlements. That's the waves hitting the Sea Point area in Cape Town, so massive sea storms as well. And then there's fires there in Sea Point that was blown up by the wind. So later the rain helped to douse down the fires, but it was a strange weekend here in Cape Town, winds that I haven't seen in a long time. So lots of damage all over the place. Still lots of outages of Eskom, so about 10 areas or 10 neighborhoods in Cape Town, even up to Beaufort West, there's disruption, and they're trying to fix cables and things that fell down related to electricity. So there's humanitarian aid, so it's getting better now.
All right, we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that. Speaking of keeping an eye on things, the South African Revenue Authority has continued to place CCTV cameras in cigarette makers' warehouses.
Yes, so they say they've had enough, and they don't trust the systems, and they don't trust what's happening in the manufacturing. And where they based it on, it is a fact that research show that there's 37 billion cigarettes smoked every year in South Africa. So it's an easy calculation. The revenue need to get one South African rand per cigarette. So it's quite a lot they get per cigarette. They only got 13 billion. So where's the other money? So there's missing link there. They say they lose 8 billion. It seems to be more than 8 billion South African rand. So they said what they're going to do now, they're going to put CCTV into the storerooms. They want to see what the volumes are that they produce, and it's going out to the storerooms. So the Fair Trade Independent Tobacco Association say, no, you can't do that. It's a violation of our rights of privacy. So that's in the court now. So hopefully they will get, there will not be too much smoke blown up in this one.
Well, do keep us posted with any further developments on that one. Now, getting into the last of your stories, Banyana faced Nigeria in their all-important 2024 Olympic qualifying game in Pretoria. So what happened? Did they win?
Yeah, unfortunately not. I was quite brave when I said we need to talk about this morning and hoping they will win. It was unfortunately 0-0 in Pretoria at the Loftus Versfeld. So on aggregate, Nigeria win 1-0 because they won in Abuja earlier, a few days on Friday, I think it was. So that's sad news, unfortunately. I see some of the reports say that, well, obviously that's the Olympic rings. There's going to be more other athletes that's going, but it's quite sad. Being the women's AFCON champions in Africa, we hoped that they can be a team that can represent South Africa there. But that's not to be. They can focus on AFCON. Just for interest sake, those are the medals that will be in Paris. And every medal that will be on offer there do have a little bit of the Eiffel Tower in them. It was construction that was previously part of the Eiffel Tower. So they took some of those metals and they put it in all the medals. So every medal you'll get will have something of the Eiffel Tower. So it's just something interesting.
Very interesting. So if South Africa hosts the Olympics, I assume little chippings from Table Mountain will suffice?
That will be a very good idea. There's enough rocks on there, so they can definitely do that.
Thank you, Arrie, for bringing us the stories from Zanzi.
Great talking to all of you. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Bye.
All right, let's now take a look at the weather predictions before we return with economic news.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouth-watering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
In economic news, we start off next door as Zimbabwe's new gold-backed currency, the ZIG, I don't know if we're calling it the ZIG, it strengthened a day after its debut, even as it roiled commerce nationwide as banks, retailers and utilities battled to switch to the new unit. Now it gained 0.2% to the 13.53 per US dollar, according to data published on the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe's website yesterday. It began trading on Monday at 13.56 per dollar, using an exchange rate announced by Governor John Mashayavanu during last Friday's unveiling of the nation's latest effort to create a functioning local currency. Now, the International Monetary Fund, which in February urged the liberalization of the exchange rate, said it will support authorities' latest efforts to restore macroeconomic stability. But the Washington-based lender said it needed time to review the design and implications of the new currency arrangement before weighing in with an assessment.
Well, very interesting developments indeed. Moving on to our next story, the drafting of regulations for rural labor, hiring foreign labor and private employment agencies is currently in an advanced stage, with the document expected to be submitted to the Council of Ministers soon. This assurance was given recently in Maputo during a meeting with the coordination team of the Economic Acceleration Package as part of the implementation of Measure 14. Now, according to Fernandez Lopez, legal advisor of the PAE, the proposal drafting process is currently in the consultation stage with other sectors and social partners for harmonization and consensus.
All right, those have been our economic news stories on Africa Good Morning. Let's head to the economic indicators just before Arrie heads into the sport.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with soccer news first. Soccer news from the English Premier League. Not good news for Everton Soccer Club, and they've been docked another 2 league points. That's because of violation of the Premier League's rules of the profit and sustainability process. And they unfortunately in the season of 2022 and 2023 made a 16.6 million euro loss. That is above the 105 million loss they're allowed to make in 3 years. So not good news for Everton. Early in the season they were also docked 10 points, and then after appeal they were docked just 6 points. That was for the same breach in 2021-2022 season. So also it is Nottingham Forest that also lost 4 league points for the same reason. Because of the 2 points dropped for Everton, they fall now to 16th place on the English Premier League, and that is just 2 points above the relegation zone. And to continue international sports news, it is athletics news. The Olympic Games will start on the 25th of July and it will run up to the 16th of August. That will be in Paris in France. And the news from the International Olympic Committee related to Russian and Belarus athletes is that they will be allowed to compete as individuals. It's still controversial, some countries for that and some against that. And the latest country that support that is the United Kingdom government. They made an official announcement that said that they will allow the individuals to compete as neutrals in the Olympic Games. And to conclude today's international sports news, it is tennis news. It's tennis from the Monte Carlo Masters, and it is week one of the Monte Carlo Masters. It is ATP Thousands tournament. That means there's lots of status, lots of world rankings at stake in the tournament. It is all the best players in the world that play in this. The top 10, all the top 10 players in the world in action in this tournament. Some of the early favorites will be the highest ranked players. It will be Novak Djokovic, but the form player at the moment is Yannick Sinner of Italy. He's been in good form in recent tournaments as well. The tournament's being played on clay surface, so it's a clay surface that starts the season that starts, and that's leading up to Roland Garros that will start at the end of May. Some of the results from the first round of the tournament in Monte Carlo is that number 14 seed Arrie Hougaard of France, he beat Verito Correa of Argentina by 4-6, 6-1 and 6-2. And then also good start for Stefanos Tsitsipas of Greece. He didn't do well in his previous tournaments, he fell out early, but this time on clay he had better success. He beat Laszlo Djene by 6-3 and 6-2. And then also Grigor Dimitrov, he was in good form in Houston in the previous tournament that was also played on clay, and he beat Valentin Vacherot by 7-5 and 6-2 to also advance to the next round. All the top seeds will only be in action on Wednesday. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again on tomorrow morning. Goodbye.
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning throughout the broadcast. These are the highlights. Mpumalanga municipality fined 200 million rand for polluting rivers. Liberia Senate approves war crimes court's creation. Zimbabwe's new ZiG currency strengthens on second day of trading. And UEFA Champions League results yesterday was a cracker of an evening. 10 goals in total scored, 3 apiece between Manchester City and Real Madrid, and Arsenal and Bayern Munich shared the spoils with a 2-2 draw.
Well, with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday morning. From me, Glenn Rashipura.
And me, Ashton Berry. Congratulations to Namibia's graduates again. Cheers.